Welcome to the Love Pod, where inspiration, vision, and real connection come alive. Wherever you are, you belong here.
Welcome to the Love Pod, everyone. I'm your host, Nathaniel. I'm so pleased to welcome a very special guest today, Ry Duong, who is a relationship personal mastery coach, best-selling author of Choose You, Choose Happiness. I love that. You're also a podcaster, Ry, and co-founder of the Unshakable Masculine Institute, which is really interesting from what I've talked to you about, and irresistiblegateways.com, which is the retreat that you run. She helps high-performing individuals break through internal barriers, elevate their communication, and build aligned, fulfilling relationships through a direct, no fluff approach. We all need that these days. There's lots of fluff out there. And as a speaker and coach, Ry brings bold honesty, emotional depth, and practical wisdom to every stage and conventions. She challenges people to stop playing small, confront their excuses, and rise into the greatness she knows lives within them. I'm so with you. I think men's work is so important to building healthy families and communities, Ree. So pleased to have you on the show. I'd love to just, I read your intro because I don't usually do that, but I just loved how much is in there in such a succinct way. And so, but I'd love for you just to invite you to share more about what has brought you to this work, and yeah, what is your why?
Thank you so much, Nathaniel, for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. And I just love your gray hair. I love that green. It's just so soothing. I think everything is all divinely chosen that you and I were meant to meet, and instantly we love it right away. And
Mm.
I love that my mission is to spread as much love as possible. And you got the Love podcast. I'm like, this is meant to be.
Totally, totally. Oh yeah, yeah. Love,
And
when we love, that changes the game, right?
for sure, it is the highest frequency there is. I think I've always been fascinated by love, how love can change a person, how love can inspire a community to come together, to unite with a common cause. There's no separation between you and I, or color, or difference, or the sexes. Is that we're all one and the same. We're
Mm,
all fighting for the same thing, and that symbolized a lot more for me, more than wealth, more than anything. I came to becoming a relationship coach with Eternal Love, my company. This is right after the passing of my sister, who committed suicide at the
mm,
age of 30.
mm,
And that was through, was a sister who's extremely ambitious, very beautiful, extremely witty. Like wherever you're with her, you're always having such a great time.
mm,
And for her to have so much going on for herself and yet not see it, and her only way of taking herself out of her pain was to leave this world, it really breaks my heart. Being the oldest, of course, I always want to protect my siblings. But I think about all of the people who are struggling with mental illness, and there are phases in our life that are much more challenging than others. And so I became a relationship coach to help people to start choosing themselves, because one of the biggest thing I realized was when you go through depression, when you go through suicide, it's because the self-hatred that you have for you, it's so strong that whatever pain you're dealing with, you just have a hard time forgiving yourself of seeing a solution out. I'm sure there's many factor that comes into play, but this is my greatest motivations. My sister and I was supposed to start a sisterhood company together.
mm,
I had suggested this idea because I wanted to give her something to look forward to fight for, so
mm,
that she can get better and overcome her depression. And then we can start something to impact humanity. And she said, that's a great idea, sis, but let me try to figure out and get over my depression, and then we can start something together. And she was like my yin to my yang. So
mm,
I was like the great visionary. I see dreams very big, and she's more of the detail, down to earth type thing. So whenever I'm going up high in the sky with my vision and my dream of saving the world, she's like, okay, come back down just a few inches, you know?
Oh my goodness.
Mm.
Well, deepest condolences for your sister's
Thank
loss.
you.
I can't even imagine the pain of that. I do have firsthand experience with the pain of depression, and I can, relate to a lot of those. It's interesting. We live in a world where high achievement often is paired with this badge of how much stress can you carry, and it's almost like a something to be proud of. And especially in corporate environments where there's a lot of pressure, or in all kinds of these settings where it's all about the grind, the hustle, and there's amazingly beautiful, talented people who, like you said, have that self-hatred, have so much pressure they don't know what to do with. And we've been really indoctrinated in a lot of ways to measure our own value on how much we achieve. And I think there's some pretty big red flags and some red herrings in that. So I'd love to hear about how you have taken that pain of losing your sister into the work that you're doing now. Because I see that visionary in you, Ree, but I also see this very pragmatic, loving person who is grounded in your spirituality. I think love is what actually grounds us. It keeps us
Mhm.
here because we all have a purpose. So I know you had yeah, it's often these pains that bring us to our larger purpose. So can you speak to that?
Yes, for sure. And thank you for that question. It's a wonderful question. Um, the way I see it in terms of this drive, this passion that I have for helping others. I've always known when I was a little kid that I would end up helping people in some form or another. And maybe
Mm,
that's partly from my grandfather, who is a monk, who was
mm,
once a monk. So his life, his dedication was to serving people, to serving humanity. So I knew very early on that's what I was destined to do. And when I was a little kid at 9 years old, high school prom, you would write like a little thing for when school like is about to start. So I was finishing primary school to go into high school, and you had to like write in the yearbook what you are excited about the world. And my excitement was to save the planet. Like
mm.
it was just so lame. All of my other friends were like, I can't wait to be in school, in high school, and to be able to drive and go to party and do these things. And mine was like, please, guys, recycle and compost, save the planet.
Yeah.
Look
I
back at it, I was like, that is so freaking lame, Reed. Like,
I can
but at
relate.
that,
I can relate in a big way. Yeah, it's a big conversation. Yeah. Okay, that's
yeah.
amazing. So that you knew that you had that level of self-awareness in primary school going into high school. Amazing.
Yes. It was always never really about me.
Mm,
And I really think like if we can serve people, it's not about us. We're just a vehicle of this greater gift. I really do think we are the divine connected to whatever you call it, God, the
mm,
universe, Buddha, Muhammad. We are truly, in essence, a divine being in this body called a human.
mm,
But we have like memories, we have knowledge and wisdom that comes from somewhere else that we can't explain or that we cannot see with the eyes. But
mhm,
we are a deep soul that is connecting to something much greater than us. And it's important to learn to listen to that inner
mm.
voice, that instinct, that chatter that comes and knock on our door and go, hey, you should definitely write that book. Like you
Yeah.
choose happiness, finding love the right way. And I'm one of those people. I have like, doubts about myself. I'm like, who would want to read my book? But when I wrote that book, I was thinking if I only could save one person who was in my shoe that lost their path to who they were, the
Mm,
amazing person, the amazing inner child. I love my inner child. I had a really wonderful childhood growing up. And my inner child is my inner badass. She
mm.
keeps me accountable. She makes me do brave things that I, as an adult, would not do. She keeps me honest,
Mm,
and because as a result of her, I decided I would write this book out, even if there's nobody who read it.
mm,
So I wrote it not in the hope that I would make money from it. If I could just educate one person about relationship, about taking your time in choosing a right partner is one of your biggest investment that you'll ever
Mhm.
make. When you find the right partner, they will amplify what is already great in you. And
Mhm.
whatever you're lacking, they won't judge it. They will come to complement it. And that's
Mhm.
what I want for people. I've always said, will I ever find true love? I love true love. Will I ever find true love in my lifetime, in this lifetime? And I always thought, it always belonged to everybody else in the movie. You always found like somebody found true love. And I'm the type of person who's always happy for other. I don't get
Mhm.
jealous by other people's success. I don't get jealous if people are in love. I actually admire it and I go, oh, thank God it exists. That mean that there might be a chance I could have it. And I'm so grateful in this lifetime I did find my partner.
Mhm.
So it was
Beautiful, Ree.
learning to accept to receive it as well. It was
Mhm.
good that I'm a good giver, but I'm learning now more and more to be a receiver as well of good
Mhm.
things in my life.
Mhm. That balance is so important, and just I had this subtle shift in awareness several years ago. Not that I've mastered receiving. I think it's difficult for a lot of us who tend to put others' needs before our own. Um, but giving and receiving are really the same thing. When you're receiving with grace and gratitude, you're actually giving someone else an opportunity to give. So
Yeah.
it really is the same. And there's so much beauty and wisdom in what you shared there. And it's funny how, we're sold this idea of true love. And I think I
Hmm.
like to, in a lot of ways, English is one of those cryptic languages. It's a colonial language, right? It's taken from
Hmm.
so many different things. I mean, we're in the Ottawa area. That's not an English word. That's that there's a lot of, even Canada is not an English word. A lot
Yeah.
of the words that we use. And true, like I feel like we're looking for the love that is true, and I feel
Yeah.
like that's our way home, is
Hmm.
finding that love is actually the reality. It's the truth that gives us life. It's the truth of where we're born from, and like you pointed to, like, we are amazing. We're miraculous beings. Humans are beautiful species. I think we've been told a lot of things about us that are not so great, and we've been focused on the things. But I think a lot of that comes from anytime you take any individual or species and you put them in a threatening situation, their best qualities don't always emerge. And like you were saying,
Hmm.
with having a complementary partner, if they can really uplift you and compliment and love you without condition, that can really allow someone to blossom. But when our basic needs are being threatened, and I think we see that in a lot of ways in the world, hence we have children like yourself who feel this need to save our world. I remember being a little boy and seeing how they were engaging with like construction in the land and how everything was very aggressive. And I always thought there's another way to have an interaction with the land. Like, she's living, because my favorite moments growing up were the little ones where I would be at the creek and watching the water striders floating on
Oh,
the
I love it.
water, right? Or watching the caterpillar like climb up its little web, and just the intricacies of that, watching the dewdrops on the spider's web and all the refraction of color. And I was so mesmerized, and I never lost that tether. And so one of the most important things I think you said, Reed, is that you said, I love my inner child, you're that little girl that is still with you. It's so interesting because right before the call, I was looking at some photos with Luciana. She pulled out a photo book, and we were looking at little images of Julia when she was about the same age. And Luciana said, um, where did she go? Where'd she go? And I said,
Mm.
oh, and that made me realize, I said, people are kind of like trees, and that little girl is still inside your mama, and you can talk to her. And I like thinking of that, like we have these rings, and because we tend as adults to think like, oh, that's kids stuff, and we totally neglect our inner childs and the needs that they have. And I think that's why we get into a lot of our problems. Can you
Mhm.
speak more to this in terms of the work that you are doing, especially with what led you to work with men in particular? Because I feel like this is, when we talk about love, we talk about inner child work. I feel like there's a segment of men that
Hmm.
they need that work, but they're not to them it's not it goes against their conditioning, right? Because they've been told
Yeah,
to suck it up, to
yeah.
don't cry and all this stuff. And we know that it's healthy. Men
Hmm.
have these emotional needs as well. And we
Yeah,
can do it in a way that really builds our character, doesn't make us weak.
yeah.
Yeah. So can you share about
Yes,
more of that journey?
absolutely. I think reason behind the love and the motivation behind men is one, first of all, I love men. I love humanity, but I love men because I believe in their potential. And as independent, as smart, as ambitious as I am, I do know my role in the feminine. I have a space that was meant to help this world, which is nurturing, which is giving love, which is beautifying the environment, the space that I come in. But I also know that I need my healthy masculine. I need my wonderful boyfriend to be the protector, the provider, the one that leads and guide us into the right direction. He
Mm,
has a special role in it to pretend that I can do it all because I know I can, but to pretend that that role would also be mine when it was destined for the men to do that. Why take somebody else's role when they could do it very well? So I need the complementary of the man and the woman so that I can be in my feminine energy, to
mm,
be sweet, to be tender, to create magic, to touch everything and turn it to beautiful flower. Why my man is actually directing, protecting, providing for us. That's a beautiful thing. And my biggest thing that came to motivating to helping more men is I'm seeing more and more in the society how we shifted in an imbalanced way of demasculating men.
mhm,
Like I'm pro having equal wages for women and men. I'm pro for giving more opportunity for having CEOs that are women, but I'm not against one sex eliminating the other. I don't
mm,
think that's a great way of approaching it. I think that how do we amplify each other's strength? How
mm,
do we actually come and add more value to what is lacking or what we see as weaknesses, the men and the women.
yeah.
That's how I would approach it. And so when I work with men, there's this, I get a lot of gratification helping my clients. But the few men that I do help who are ready to do the work, it gives me so much joy. There's something about them. It's
Mm,
like this privilege that I get to see into their inner world of being this conditioned men, of holding all of the weight on their shoulder and to
mm,
doing it all. That's a heavy load that they have to
mhm,
carry that we as women are lucky enough not to have to do. Yes, we have our different challenges, but men have other challenges that we as women can do it to some extent, but not at the same level. Men are extremely focused, are extremely driven. They
mm,
got that ability to do it. And we all have the feminine and the masculine energy within both sex. It's not either or, but it's finding that beautiful balance for the man to step up in their masculine, healthy
mhm,
energy,
mhm,
and then that way, when you have a healthy man, you can actually also have a relaxed, healthy woman. And
mhm, mhm,
together they make this beautiful, amplified
mhm,
superpower that then later cater to their children,
mhm,
make healthy children with great leader who are leading by example and building better community that don't seek to compete with each other,
yeah.
but seeks to unite and amplify each other's strength. And so for me, there are more and more men, younger generation now, that are completely confused. What
Mhm,
role should they be playing? Should they
mhm,
be more effeminate? Again,
mhm,
the term, or should they be just like the macho? I don't want none of that. I
mhm,
want men to come together in a circle of brotherhoods
yeah.
where they can be real, where they can say, I can crush this, and this, but I'm struggling with this thing. And we
Mhm,
all struggle with something.
yeah.
Like, let's stop bullshitting each other. We
Yeah.
all struggle with something. And for the men to have a healthy space, because there's not a
Mhm,
lot of resources out there to help men.
Yeah.
And women always complain, like, I can't find myself a good man. Well, God damn it, like, help them. Like,
Mm,
if we can just do more to help our brothers so that they can be in their healthy masculine, then maybe we'll have more healthier men that can show up
mhm,
to be a great father, to be a great partner, to be a great citizen to society and not commit
mhm,
crime. Or and the suicide rate for men is like 4 times greater than for a woman. So suicide is a big one for me to see that they don't see the value of themselves.
mm,
I see their value. I
mm.
want to say, stay with us.
Yeah.
We need you.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate your care, your level of awareness, and also such a balanced approach, Ree. I really love the idea of women holding space for men's work. I've done some things with like the Mankind Project when we were on the West Coast. I recently met
Mhm.
another men's group that I've been getting to know some of the men there. It's called Hyperactive, and which is interesting because it's the only functional word in ADHD, right? It's like
Yeah.
we're actually designed to be hyperactive, but not in a
Mhm.
scattered way, in a really focused way. And I think, you know, so much of what you said, it speaks to the current narrative of our society where the pendulum has swung, it keeps swinging too far, right? Of course, the women's rights movements, all that from like the 1960s, very important. Women and men need to be equal in our society, whether it comes to rights, just like, I mean, indigenous people, all that whole category of diverse people. Yeah, of course, we need to be equals as human beings. It's the only way we can have an egalitarian society, which I think any conscious individual wants that, where we all have opportunities and access to living well, have it being healthy, happy, and in harmony with one
Mhm.
another.
Mhm.
Um, and one of the things I heard is there's 200 to 1 ratio of like women's groups compared to men's groups. So yeah, the
Yeah.
availability is very uneven. And
Mhm.
the key word that you said that really speaks to me is brotherhood.
Yeah.
And I feel like, especially when I decided to attempt the entrepreneurial path, it brings up so much isolation, so much challenge. I didn't have any of those skills. I didn't have mentors around entrepreneurship. My father's self-employed, which to me is a different kind of thing. And then, other mentors that I invested in, it's like it was always it wasn't that sense of brotherhood, and I feel like this is what carries us to the next level as a species when we have our when we're men are in their I would say their divinity and with women in their divinity, we have a true brotherhood and sisterhood of
Yeah.
everyone wanting the best for everyone. And I feel like the apex of that is realizing that we are in our source of being, we're one. We come from the same
Mhm.
place.
Mhm.
We're interconnected. We are, and like you said, we're a valuable part of the land. Like this idea
Yeah.
that we have no value. I feel there's so much there. I mean, we talk about how we're, indoctrinated through education, like that high achievement value. If you don't get the A or the B or the C, I was a
Yeah.
D student in primary school, and then I got scared into being an A student, and that's when I learned to hyper focus. I would memorize textbooks, but I was basically miserable for all of high school, and
Mhm.
no one could really reach me because my only way I could even feel safe was if I was at the top of the class. And I wasn't competing
Mhm.
with anyone. I just wanted to make sure that I was never in a position of failure. And
Mhm.
that's not a way to learn. So I feel like and all of that I was totally emotionally suppressed as well. Like
Mhm.
so by the time I found college, by the grace
Mhm.
of our creator, I was guided to study indigenous wellness. And I had no
Mhm.
idea what to expect. I had all kinds of presumptions, you know, and I was already starting to have a deepening sense of my own awakening and about nature of light and quantum physics, and I'd really gone into my own exploration. But when I got there, it was sitting around a grandfather drum, talking about our journey, our feelings, passing a talking stick, listening to one another, and it was the first time people really listened to me and talk about my feelings and things. And
Mhm.
man, was that so valuable. And to sit in a circle with elders, both grandfathers, Mishomises and Milkomises, grandmothers, and to receive their teaching, to listen to other people struggling and gain other perspectives. Like it's so necessary. But at the heart, I think of what men need so much is brotherhood. And
Yeah.
so that's a magic word to me these days. Can you talk more about like what you've seen transpire when a man who is like in that isolation, like high achievement stress, when they actually find that safety of brotherhood, sisterhood, where they can just be
Mhm.
like what do you notice first in that kind of transformation?
Yeah, I love how you had mentioned about like the hyper achieving in society that convinces us in order to be someone, you have to check off this and this and this
Mm,
list. You gotta be able to be successful. You gotta have a certain car, a certain home, a certain image, the way you dress. Those are just very on a superficial level of what you try to achieve. And we all go through that phase in our 20s, in our 30s, because we're not quite sure what we should be doing. Like, what is our purpose here in life,
mm,
right? We have to go through that journey, and some people discover it sooner than others, but it's never too late. And in this process, when I work with men, I can really see the huge transformation. And I say that because I see it within my own partner. You
mm,
know, like when I started the men's circle hosting my first cohort, I had said to him, you know, he's not into personal growth. He is a very curious mind. He's always open to new opportunity. And I said, babe, why don't you join my men's group? Just an experience, just to see how it is. Come to the first session. If after the first session it doesn't speak to you, you can, exit it and it's totally fine. But after the first session he's joined, he saw how real people were, that they were very successful men, that they were high achiever, they're able to do these things, but that somehow in a brotherhood of other men, they still have areas that they still need to improve on, and that
mm.
was okay. And so men needs a space where emotionally they feel safe. Like I think about, we were just talking the other day, I was talking to my boyfriend. We were watching this Netflix series called The Cleaning Lady. I don't know if you know about the
No.
series at all. It's about a lady who's an immigrant. She's Cambodian and half Filipino. She's a doctor in her country, and she happened to witness a crime with the mafia,
Mm.
and somehow she got involved to having to work for the mafia to do cleaning of dead people that they have to
Oh
get
my
rid of.
goodness.
And then she has to try to figure herself out to protect her family. And she has a son who has an immune system that needs treatment in the US, and she can only provide it to him in the US. So she's
Wow.
trying to save his life, and she has to go through these different journeys. And one of the mafia, uh, he falls in love with this cleaning lady, which supposed to be nobody. And interestingly enough, I was asking my boyfriend, I was like, why would this bad boy, let's say, so many girl falls for the bad boy. Why would this particular mafia be into this upright, like a person? And I thought that was really interesting because he has to carry all of the load to being seen as tough,
Mm,
like strong, solid, decisive in his decision. But then he meets this woman that is soft and gentle and lets him feel safe to express about the things that he always had to hold in, to
mm,
hold that space for him in a non-judgment way, and to believe and see his potential, that he can be more than just a mobster, that he's
mm,
actually a good human being that might have took a different path, right? So when you create a circle for men to be able to be strong men, they know they're very strong men, they're
mm,
very capable,
mm,
but that they can also let down their guard instead of wearing that armor all the time to be that lone wolf, because it get exhausting. Let's
mm.
just be real. Like carrying
Yeah.
all of the weight all of that time, it gets extremely heavy. To be able to take off that armor and just be around other men that will not judge them, that
Mm,
will allow them the space to work through to get better. Because what happened if you don't have a space to work through the different struggle, the pain that you had to repress, and you're just gonna pretty much stay the same. You're
mhm,
gonna just repeat the same old mistake. But when you can work on it, and then allow yourself the opportunity to see something different, to learn from other men as well who have traveled a journey that you might not have insight, and they intermingle and they help each other to get even stronger and better. Well, it's a win-win for everybody. It's a
Yeah.
win-win. Honestly, I always say it is a win-win for women. Like, honestly, I always think about it for humanity. We had more men that could just show up,
Hmm.
be themselves. And I want to bring men home to
Hmm.
them, to their greatness,
Yeah.
because I do see the potential. I
Hmm.
always like savor this moment when I see men like who struggle or stuck in a phase in their marriage and or having a hard time, they're doubting themselves. They don't think that they're a good partner, and they don't think like all of these different qualities, to all of a sudden feeling like, I might not be perfect, and I'm okay with that,
Hmm.
accepting my imperfection. But I got all of these amazing quality that I have so much to offer the rest of the world, and that's
Yeah.
okay. And that's
Yeah.
what I want. I don't want perfection. I want somebody to say, I dare to do the things that no other has crossed the path before. Let me pave
Hmm.
the way for the rest of my tribe, for the rest
Hmm.
of the people, that I'm working towards something greater than me.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's where the real courage is, and I feel like that's where the real vulnerability is too. It's interesting. We, like you were saying, like the bad boy, this idea of going against the grain of society. But I feel like these, even like if we would look at organized crime, it's a reaction to it's a almost like a tribal reaction to the current way that humans are treated, which is from a larger like body that basically like I think as what's the name? What's the word? As ruffling of feathers, he can be able to say like that way. Elon Musk pointed out something really interesting. He's like, well, governments are the only companies in the world that basically can, declare war and issue violence. And it's interesting that we tolerate that as a species, like even subtle things like we're the only species that pays to live. So if you're a young man, you have that drive and you're like, well, I want to make my way in the world. It's almost like taking that as a microcosm and be like, well, we're just going to do our own thing. We'll make our own laws. But all of it is going against the grain of the laws of the universal. And I believe, and I would hazard a guess that you also believe this, Ree, that love is actually the law. Like
Mhm.
you can't break the laws of love, which are electromagnetic laws of principles of the universe, and then have a great life. So even those hardened, like you said, armored men who, you
Mhm.
know, through brute force and sheer will create a life for themselves, whether it's the mansion and the cars and all this stuff, well, you still have to answer to that source that we all come
Yes.
from. And that's before you can go home, you have to face that. And I believe that the greatest leaders that I found as men who are real in their masculinity are men who can balance intellect with real self-care and self-love and are also open and vulnerable about the struggles that they've gone through and want to help other men from brotherhood, not from any kind of ego drive, but really who want
Mhm.
to help others. And I really value that kind of masculine servant leader kind of role. I feel like it's so important. And it so goes against the grain of a lot of the deception communication that I feel like we've been. I remember being a little boy and we're just, well, politicians just lie and then they get elected and they do what they want. It's like, well, why? Like, that doesn't seem like a healthy society. Like, I really value honesty and integrity. And so
Mhm.
I think it's so valuable what you're doing. Can you talk about the journey of like starting to do, men's circles and retreats and like how was it for you as a woman to initiate that? Like it must have brought up some challenge for you internally to like I'm going to run a men's circle and now you're doing very large retreats and things. Can you share a little bit about that journey
Yeah.
from your perspective?
Thank you so much, Nathaniel. I think like everything that I do, I am a very intuitive kind of human being. I follow a lot like of a calling. And
Mhm.
maybe we talked about this, that you and I have a sixth sense. And for a long time as a kid, I've always thought that to be a weird thing to have, something I should repress. The ability to have vision, the ability to see things through dream,
Mhm.
the ability to hear things, hear voices of like knowing what's coming. And I sometimes feel like I have a cheat code to life that
Mhm.
most people don't have access to. And I feel like a little bit like shy, like, and I often say this to my boyfriend, like, so unfair that I have this cheat code by my vision, by my intuition to predict things that are coming our way, but nobody knows it.
Mhm.
And we all have that.
Mhm.
It's just somehow as we're growing up as children, we become adult and we get further and further away from that.
Mhm.
So I think it's important when you learn to come back home to yourself, you start to hear that wisdom, that divine gift and power that you
Mhm.
always possess within you, but it's learning how to connect to that and have access to it. And so when I ran the men's circle, I was serving women. I was having I love what I do. And I had men who was always a part of it. But then I had this calling that said, Reed, this year, you are going to pivot your business and
Mhm.
you are going to serve men. And the biggest drive is knowing about the suicide rate, which really angers me. Like,
Mhm.
we got to do something for it. And I love my partner. So the love that I have for my partner, and I think about it to my son, to his son,
Mhm.
I thought they have no resources. Like,
Mhm.
how can you expect somebody to do better when they have no access to be able to do that work? So
Mhm.
that was the drive behind creating the men's circle. And I always get so much reward when I help men. Like, as much as I love helping the woman, when I help a man, the feeling of gratitude and the reward is like exploded by 10
Mhm.
different, like it's just such a sweetness, it's so rewarding. So then I follow that intuition, and I'm a how do you say, I like to pave the road where no one has ever
Mhm.
walked before. I want to be
Pioneer.
the first. Yes, I want to be the first to do something that is unconventional, that
Mhm.
is different. And so that made sense to me. And even though it might be scary, because I get a lot of like comment of like, why would two women be able to tell a man how to be a man? Like, right?
Mhm.
And the thing is, we're not trying to teach men how to be men. It's just we are giving the complementary perspective of what woman sees in the potential of men, because there's a movie that goes, what are women really thinking? Like, if
Mhm.
only I can read into a woman. Like, a man always asks, like, what is it my wife wants? Like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna do what she wants, but as
Yeah.
long as she's clear and precise, right? So we give the other
That's pretty funny. As long as she is like me, I will do what she wants. Yeah.
And so, like, if we can come off, like, because we don't always see our blind spot.
Mm.
And so, being two women, so I have my business partner who's also a woman's coach, and she had the calling as well to serve men.
Mm.
And it was so funny how our divine connection come to be. But all that just to say, we both had this calling where we were supposed to serve men. And my answer to the why two women teaching men is that we all have blind spot, and a woman can see angles, can
Mm.
amplify a man to be in their greatness that they themselves don't even always have access to.
Yeah.
A man can teach a man how to be a man, but a woman comes and kind of see the other side to help complement that vision.
Mhm.
And also because we are so much more nurturing and we hold a very safe space for men, it's less threatening. Sometimes between two men, they're holding on to their ego, they're not able to release and let go that
Mhm.
easily, so we create that
Mhm.
space because it becomes like a brotherhood. Like the community that I have, it's a brotherhood of sisters and brothers
Mhm.
playing together and learning together as we journey through this thing called life.
Mhm.
The other thing of what you said too, doing retreats. So retreat was a beautiful extension of challenging society norms of like doing the 9 to 5 jobs. Like you got to have a good
Mm,
career, you got to climb the corporate ladder. And I thought, I'm not for that. I am not
mm,
for it. Like for some people, that's great. They want to do the 9 to 5. I'm not going to be judging them for that. But me, I like for my life to be at my own term. And
mm,
I love traveling, and I
mm,
see how much traveling amplifies my life. I see how much growth and opportunity and perspective that it changes me. Because when you start traveling around the world, you start to realize we're all but the same.
mm,
And then there's so much to be seen that I haven't learned because I only know what I know in my
mm.
small little environment.
Yeah.
But when I open it up, I realize, oh my God, there is so much out there that I cannot, for other than traveling, would be able to take in
Hmm.
and to see new perspective from a different angle that go,
Yeah.
yes, the problem that I was seeing in my own environment, now that you remove yourself from that environment into a different environment that you have to be creative, innovative, open your mind to new perspective, you start seeing things from a different angle, much more clearer,
Mm,
with a sense of confidence to come back home and tackle whatever problem that you might be experiencing.
hmm.
So my boyfriend always told me when I go on these retreats, he's like, my God, babe, you come back home like full of energy and vitality, and you're like a changed woman. I
Mm,
don't recognize the new woman that I'm seeing, but I love it. It's so exciting. It gives me like motivation, aspiration to be more.
mm.
So that's exactly what I want for people. And that's why we do retreats. So I thought, why not combine traveling as something as a passion of mine
Mm,
and giving transformation, tangible transformation that people can apply once they're back home, and making
yeah.
that in a community of people I love and adore, and we all grow together. So that's how
Yeah.
the retreat came to be.
I think one of the most interesting things you shared is how it ignites your partner when you come back. And I
Yeah.
think that I also believe very much in immersive experiences. And, our goal is to be a world schooling family where we travel and give that opportunity. I didn't have that growing up. I should correct that. Like we traveled, but it was usually by vehicle. We would travel a lot of the interior of the United States and some cross country and things. But I really feel when you go in a totally different culture, you do get such a different vantage point of an appreciation, but also like, Julia traveled through a lot of Southeast Asia and Vietnam, and she said she saw children playing with sticks and like nothing, and they were so happy. And like
Yeah.
children here have houses full of clutter of toys and are miserable. They're screen addicted and they have different kinds of problems. And I think all parents want their best for children, and sometimes we think we want to give them what we didn't have. But sometimes not giving them something allows them to find that inner world more quickly. I know I spent a lot of time in my imagination growing up, and my parents were so trepidatious of giving me like video games. And then, but I
Mhm.
like, at one point, I think it was 10, I finally got a Nintendo Entertainment System, but I know I was glued to that thing.
Mhm.
It was so enthralling. And I think that, nowadays I have bigger questions as a parent because like video games are not Mario jumping, and it's so frustrating after like, the third world and you got to
Mhm.
keep practicing and practicing. It's repetitive. And you're like, okay, I'm going outside. Like I've had enough.
Mhm.
Now it's like we've literally created worlds that children can
Mhm.
spend, grown-ups can spend a whole lifetime. And that includes to me like streaming and all these things that you can just get so pulled into it. So to have something that takes you out of that environment where it's so easy to turn on the TV and
Mhm.
stuff your face with emotionally numbing things or what have
Mhm.
you, and to go into a whole other environment where it's maybe like tropical or there's different kinds of there's like a different essence to the different places on Earth, and then all of a sudden you have to do this transformational work and look at
Mhm.
yourself in a different way. I think that really is what I appreciate that double that double impact that you're creating through retreats. I think that's really beautiful. When did you start doing retreats, Ree? How long have you been doing?
I did retreat. It's been like I would say like about a year and a half. I
Okay.
started co-hosting retreats
Okay.
with other coaches
Okay.
to gain the experience, to learn from them. And through that process, I realized what they've done wrong and what
Hmm.
they've done right.
Yeah.
And I saw how I can improve that to make it even better. And so that was the hugest drive is like, I know what's out there and I know I can do it better.
I love that. I love
And
that.
I want to really honor the investment that people put into it
Hmm.
to make it not only, yes, it's going to be a beautiful scenery, they're going to be relaxed and all of that, but also to take some moment to actually have some distance from our life and
Hmm.
to see yourself as the observer of our life and really go inward and ask yourself, like, at this stage of my life, at this season of my life, is it going in the right direction?
Hmm.
Is it in alignment with who I am and what I
Hmm.
want out of life? Because we
Hmm.
only have one life. I
Hmm.
want people to live it fully, whatever that may look like for them. I
Hmm.
want them to come home to feel excited because I'm so done and tired of seeing people walking around like zombie dead
Hmm.
inside, just doing the same old
Hmm.
routine every
Hmm.
single day, looking forward to that weekend. No, there's so much to live for.
Yeah.
There is so much to be grateful for. And I say that from a girl who's gone through the refugee camp, who lived 9 years in Thailand, who's seen so many horrible things,
Hmm.
who actually came and lived here in Canada and having to learn a new language and adapt. When I went back for the first time to my home country in Cambodia, and again, based on intuition, just slightly a short version of this, I was struggling in my marriage of 17 years,
Hmm.
asking myself the question, do I stay or do I leave this marriage?
Hmm.
Coming from this ideology of the Asian culture of you marry one person and it's that one person till death do you part till the very end, no matter how bad it is. You just
Hmm.
take it.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm a one person kind of gal. I'm very loyal, committed to my cause, whatever I take on. But when that calling came and I heard my ancestor talking to me, they had said to me, child, if you want to make a huge impact in the world and you want to become this billionaire,
Hmm.
you need to leave your husband. And I thought to myself, well, that's a very selfish thing to do. In my culture, being selfish is really frowned upon. It's
Hmm.
all about the community,
Hmm.
thinking of others before yourself. If you ever have the thought of thinking about yourself, you must be selfish. And so
Hmm.
I always connected selfishness as something to avoid.
Hmm.
Um, and when they had said that to me, I asked them, why would you tell me to leave my husband? Like, and they said, because you have a bigger mission to do on this earth.
Hmm.
And you being with your husband, as much as it seemed like in this world right now that you guys are in love, um, is that you are going to make 10 steps forward, working three different jobs, pushing for it, doing all of these things. He has one job. And he had a job in the government that could actually pay if he was to do overtime and had the possibility to do overtime. He chose not to. Instead, it's him, his wife, who has to work two other jobs in order to supply for it. And I was okay with it. I was taught as a little kid, you have to be self-reliant. You want something
Hmm.
done, you get it done yourself.
Hmm.
So, I said, well, why would you tell me to leave my husband? Like, I love my husband. Yeah, maybe he's not perfect, but that was the choice I made, and I'm going to commit to it till the end of my life. And they said, You'll move 10 step forward. You'll do so much. You'll give everything you got. We know that about you, but you're going to move 7 step back. So every move that you make, you're only going to take mini step and you'll have
Mhm.
like drawback tremendously. And I thought, okay, that might be true. And I go back to my younger self that used to ask the question about love. Do I choose love or do I choose money? And my answer was always love. And so I answered back to my ancestor and I said, I would rather be poor than to not have love in my life. I don't care if we're struggling, but as long as we are loving towards one another, and
Mhm.
that is enough for me. That's happiness for me. I'm content with that. And I'm a person who content with very little.
Mhm.
Growing up with so little, I've learned to enjoy all of the things that I have around me. It's just like when you were saying about
Mhm.
the little kid playing with stick and having so much joy, instead of our kids nowadays full of toys and still feel like they don't never have enough.
Yeah.
And so then I never really understood what they said. They said, you'll leave your husband and then money will flow in.
Mm.
And I didn't believe them. And I stuck around with my ex-husband until circumstances forced me, when I lost my sister, to revise my decision and finally decided to leave my husband. And then all of a sudden, it made sense. Money started flowing from the sky, from different venues. I got promotion. I got retroactive. My sister left me money. I didn't even know she did left
Mhm.
these things for me. And that's when it dawned on me. Sometimes certain human being that you connect with, even though they love you, they may not be the right person for you.
Mhm.
And something about their energy keeps you small, keep you from achieving the goal and the person you were meant to be. So I've learned
Yeah.
to accept it, not judge it. I
Mhm.
just realized I'm in a better space now. I'm currently with a partner that amplify every version of who I am. And one of the things that I love about what he says about being in love, us being in love, we both say that, is that the more I fall in love with you, the more it brings me home to myself, the more I fall
Mm.
in love with me.
Mm. That's
And there's no
beautiful.
greater gift. Hmm.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. There's no greater gift than that. That's amazing, Ree. I appreciate
Hmm.
you sharing your journey and being vulnerable and also having the courage to face what you're called to do. A lot of the times I feel like on the spiritual journey of awakening, like we're called to do things that bring us out of our comfort, but they are always there with love and grace, to help us to grow. And now you're doing it. I mean, I really believe that it's interesting. The character of Buckminster Fuller came into my kind of psyche not too long ago. And a big
Yeah.
thing that Buckminster talked about was the power of individuals and how,
Mm.
yes, we have this collective consciousness. It's important, like we're all part of this, interconnection of things. But he talked about, on those massive, massive ships, there's a rudder in the back, right? This big rudder that moves the ship. But there's this really small little thing on the rudder called the trim
Mhm.
tab. And it just by moving that little tiny thing, it
Mm.
actually is what changes the rudder and changes the whole direction of the ship. And so he talked about the power of individuals, and I really feel like you never know which individual comes to one of your retreats or who you're working with, and what they are here to bring the world and how they can change, dynamics in their family. So like what you said about writing your book, if it only helps one individual, it's successful. And I feel like that's such a positive, healthy mindset in a day and age where, there's so much talk of like optimizing everything, like, like get as many books out there as possible, use AI to do all the things so you can,
Mhm.
have enormous impact. But by just having that real love and care for one individual to help one individual profoundly, I think the greatest thing we can do is what you said, is come home to ourselves. Because to me, that is what awakening is. It isn't this woo woo thing. It's really like waking up to the reality of like, hey, this is the life that I'm here. This is all there is. It's right here.
Mhm.
And I have this profound opportunity. Like you said, there's so much life, there's so much to be grateful for. It's all here. And maybe in this one life we can't have everything. We can't have a private jet and 10 mansions and 16 swimming pools and own islands all over the world and be an astronaut and like the Western mind I feel like wants to do everything. Yeah, it's well, I mean, there is Elon Musk. He has a number of companies. I never bring him up, but here he is in the conversation. So I guess it's possible to do so many of these things, but if you can be content with that, with being in love with the one you're with, in love with yourself, and coming home to yourself, and then we can have all the things with that. But that really, I think, is the crux and where we feel so many, to kind of bring it full circle, so many people achieve great things in society. And we have too many examples of this in like with respect to celebrities and high achievers. They have it all. They have beautiful relationships. They have all the money they could ever think of. They have all the success and fame, and yet they never took care of that inner part of coming home to themselves. And they do end up leaving the planet, and leaving a void in their wake that can't be replaced. I'm thinking of Robin Williams. Julia was
Mhm,
showing happy feet to Luciana
mhm.
there, and just what a beautiful character, and yet he left way too early because of his own depression and things. So I just want to profoundly thank you for the work that you do. I think this conversation has been coming up a lot lately about suicide prevention, helping people to realize how valuable they are and how much we need one another in these
Yeah,
times, and it's not a solution. I think sometimes we think to escape the pain, it's a way out. But my friend Jeroen wrote a book about this, how he had a near death experience when he was a little boy, and he saw all the past lives um, where he did end his own life, and he realized that he had to deal with it on the other side in different ways. So he realized it wasn't a solution, and so he wrote a book about that. And I just really feel like in this time of great change, it's so important. Before I know we got to get off the call soon.
mhm,
I would love to know. I have a couple questions for you.
mhm.
So, what is your higher vision of our world? What do you see it as?
I like Bob Marley's vision. I will bore from the greats. He
Love it.
always said that the bad people are working way harder in terms of trying to get people actually corrupted and all of these things. So the bad is happening all around us, and we are good. And there is a gray zone between good. I don't
Mhm,
think we should see things so linear because life isn't linear. There's an
mhm,
in between that we have to be able to move and flow through them. But I love his vision, how he said, when we're good, we have to work much, much more in
mhm,
order to actually counter the bad. It
mhm,
is so much more harder to be a good person than it is to be a bad person. Our
mhm,
default is to be easily get into being lazy, to doing these things, staying stagnated, and not want to do the right thing. It's like when you look at a bad apple, when there's a rotten bad apple, it infects this everybody really
mhm,
quickly. So I am very, very of a proponent of I do my very best.
mhm, mhm,
And if my very best is at this level today, tomorrow will be at a higher level. And it's okay. I always push myself to better myself every single day than the day that I was yesterday.
mhm,
And I think when we talk about all of these things coming home to yourself, the greatest sense of achievement is finding that inner peace within you.
mhm,
And I don't know that I master it completely, but I have a good sense of inner peace, inner
mhm,
satisfaction, and it feels like it comes full circle for me. I don't see life as pursuing this thing about, reaching my millions and all of that stuff. I have that in my vision, but I'm so not attached to it. I
mhm,
will do everything in my power to make see if it is possible. To me, life is a fun game that I get to play.
mhm,
And I get to be the master, the producer of my own movie as I watch myself journey through these experiences of building my own retreat for the mission that I have to make a greater impact, to make people be more vibrant, happy in their
mhm,
life, and really doing the thing that is truly the essence of who they were supposed to be, but they somehow, through different things, lost their way on this path, right? So I
Hmm.
don't have all of the answer, but I know that together we can find that answer together and we can
Yeah.
actually help each other become the best version of ourselves.
Yeah.
And that in itself, when we have more people, because I think there's more good than bad,
Hmm.
there'll always be some bad. I will never, I no longer look at the world in a utopian world of pink colored glasses, although that is my default. I like to believe, but it has made me depressed in my 20s when I
Hmm.
saw so many bad and I just wanted to put blinder on and go, it
Hmm.
doesn't exist.
Hmm.
But the beautiful thing is was with my sister, she was a realist. So she learned to teach me that you can still be positive, see goods in people, but also see things for what they truly are and not judge them. So
Hmm.
I don't know if I told you the story about the frog and the scorpion.
Hmm.
So I'll yes, like I'll tell you the story. And and I remind myself often when I go back to this that people are who they are. Sometimes they let you down, sometimes they actually help you see better things and learn to appreciate life more. And it's just is what it is. Don't judge it. So the story about the frogs and the scorpion was the scorpion needed to cross the lake to go to the other side, and he asked a favor to the frog and said, "Mr. Frog, could I hop on your back to cross the lake to go to the other side?" And the frog said, "Why would I do that? You're a scorpion. You will actually sting me and I would die and I can't make it over there. So might as well I travel on my own to go cross the lake and you're here." He said, the scorpion convinced the frog to say, "Why would I do such a thing? If I sting you, not only will you die, but I too die. So I don't want to die. I want to be able to just cross the lake to the other side. So could you please give me a hand?" And so the frog thought about it and is like, that makes sense. Like, why would he want to kill himself in the process? And so he started crossing the lake, and long behold, the scorpion stings the frog, and they both die. And then
Hmm.
Mr. Frog asked, "Mr. Scorpion, why did you do that?" And then his answer was plain and simple, "Because I am a scorpion.
Hmm.
This is my nature."
Hmm.
So it's not to judge the scorpion. I'm not to say that all scorpion are like that, but it is the nature of what it is. You
Hmm.
just need to be able to have that positive outlook and still acknowledge there are something that needs to be worked on. Will this world ever be perfect? I don't think so. And I don't know that I want this world to be perfect because it gives the contrast the beauty, because otherwise we wouldn't have growth. We wouldn't
Hmm.
have this inner work that we have to journey. Each one of us has a journey that we have to go through and learn. And this, in the Asian culture, they say there's different level. The heaven is something other level, and then there is earth. We are here on this earth because we have a lessons that we have to learn in order to pass on to the other
Hmm.
life. So take it for what it is. I
Hmm.
have a mission here. I have some learning that I have to take in. And so I'm going to make the best out of it until my days are done. And that's it.
That's beautiful, Ree. It's such a healthy, balanced, and grounded perspective that also keeps that higher vision. I love it, you know, and I think we save the world one at a time within ourselves because we're like we carry the world within us, right? We're the embodiment of the land walking around. So I feel like we have a role, and it doesn't have to be this grand sweeping one, but why not play that game too? I think that it's like I love seeing it, like you said, like a game. How can people find you? How can they connect with you? What's the best way?
They can actually go on eternallove.net. So that's
Okay.
Eterna and not eternal with two double L, because people
Yep.
tend to write eternal then love. So that's ETERNA and then love.net. So go check
Perfect.
out my website. And for my retreat in Malaysia, if you heard this podcast and if you feel the calling and something is tugging at your heart, book a discovery call with me. We don't actually take everybody. We need to know if it's a good fit.
Yeah,
So it's irresistible getaways with an s.com, irresistiblegetaway.com.
that's beautiful. Thank you so much. One last question. If you had a magic microphone, let's say,
Yeah.
and you could talk to the whole world all at once and everyone could hear you, what would you share?
I would just say, don't be the same as everybody. It's already taken. Just be yourself. Like, go on that path, make that journey, be ridiculous, be outrageous. And I often repeat this. I'm not just one woman. I'm every woman all at once. Don't ever let somebody tells you that you're not enough, you're not
Mm,
unique enough. There's only one version of you, and that one version is worth sharing with the
mm,
world because you
yeah.
are a gift of the
Hmm.
divine. You are a piece of that divine. Let that shine.
That's wonderful. So wonderful. Such a pleasure having you on the podcast, on the Love Pod, Ari. Uh,
Thank you so much.
Highest blessings with the continued work. I look forward to getting to know more of the work. Who knows? Maybe we'll co-host a retreat one day.
Yeah.
We share that vision of making this world a brighter place, and I so value who you are and all that you do. So thank you so much. And unless there's anything else you'd like to share with our guests, thank you for our listeners as well. Is there anything else you'd like to share before I invite our daughter Luciana to say thanks for watching, everyone?
I just wanted to say thank you so much, Nathaniel, for all
Mm,
that you do. I love your mission and I love what you're doing. Just keep at it, keep pushing at it.
thank
It's
you.
good to find a good heart center soul that truly, genuinely wants to do something great for
Mm,
humanity. So thank you.
yeah. Well, you've given me a lot of wisdom to continue on. So I appreciate that acknowledgement and the encouragement. Thank you so much, Ree. And thank you to our listeners. We really appreciate all of you. Please share the show. Everyone. I won't say it like everyone else. Do whatever you feel you're called to do. I feel like the Love Pod is going to continue to grow. We keep attracting such amazing guests like Ree, and I just feel so fortunate to be able to have these deeper conversations in a day and age where there is this busyness in the world. So thank you again, Ree, and to
Thank
all our
you.
listeners, blessings. And here is Luciana wishing us a wonderful day and gratitude. Bye for now. Thanks for watching. You say ciao ciao.
Bye.
I love you so much.